You are listening to KSG Podcast. This is a short, crisp, concise, exam-oriented, edited editorial for civil services aspirants. In this podcast, we are going to talk about India, Russia looking for a new equilibrium. Source for the content is Anirban Bhaumik's article for Deccan Herald. When Pakistan in 1971 let loose its soldiers on its own people in what was then known as East Pakistan, the United States and the United Kingdom sent warships to the Bay of Bengal to dissuade India from intervening and stopping the genocide. Moscow, however, firmly stood by Delhi. The landmark Indo-Soviet Treaty of Peace, Friendship and Cooperation was signed, and the Soviet Union Navy sent a flotilla from Vladivostok, eventually scaring the British and the American fleets away from the region. India won the war against Pakistan, and East Pakistan was liberated into Bangladesh in December 1971. India on the 6th of December celebrated the Maitri Diwas to commemorate the day it had recognized the newborn nation of Bangladesh back in 1971. Coincidentally, Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosted Russian President Vladimir Putin on the same day. The summit saw India and Russia trying to adapt to the geopolitical realities of the day and readjust the bilateral relations in pursuit of a new equilibrium. Putin flew to New Delhi to hold the summit with Modi at a time when Moscow's acrimony with the United States and the European Union escalated over Russia's military build-up near Ukraine. The Prime Minister, on the other hand, hosted the Russian President amid New Delhi's growing strategic convergence with the United States in the wake of China's continued belligerence all along its disputed boundary with India. The two leaders, however, did try to arrest the drift in the relations. A 2+2 dialogue among the foreign and defense ministers of the two nations also took place on the 6th of December morning, a few hours before the leaders held the summit. The back-to-back engagements by the end of the day resulted in as many as 28 government-to-government and business-to-business pacts, in addition to a 99-point joint statement titled India-Russia Partnership for Peace, Progress and Prosperity. The most significant outcomes were, of course, the contract for manufacturing 6,01,427 Russian AK-203 rifles in India, and the renewal of the Agreement on Military Technical Cooperation for 10 more years, outlining the ongoing and future possible cooperation in the defense sector. The two documents signaled that India would for now continue with its decades-old defense cooperation with Russia, notwithstanding the US frowns. The Prime Minister said during the summit that India-Russia friendship remained a constant amid many fundamental changes in geopolitical equations over the past decades. Putin said that Russia considered India a major power and promoted military technical cooperation with India as it did with none of its other partners. He also said that Russia developed and manufactured high-tech military products with India and in India. India underlined its enhanced requirement of military and military technical cooperation with Russia to meet the security challenges it was confronted with, particularly the aggression by China along the disputed boundary between the two neighbors. The summit took place with the spectre of the US CAATSA, that is Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act, sanctions looming large over India for its October 2018 deal to procure 5 S-400 air defense systems from Russia at an estimated cost of nearly 39,000 crore rupees. Though several US lawmakers and strategic affairs analysts argued in favor of granting India a waiver from the CAATSA sanctions, President Joe Biden's administration remained non-committal and informally signaled that even if New Delhi gets an exemption for the S-400 contract, it should not expect the same for future big-ticket deals to procure defense equipment from Russia. Russia has since long been the largest supplier of military hardware to India and has been maintaining low-key defense cooperation with Pakistan. But with the changes in the geopolitical landscape and New Delhi's growing ties with Washington, D.C., after the landmark India-US Civil Nuclear Agreement of 2008, Moscow too responded to Islamabad's overtures to improve bilateral relations. Russia started discussing the sale of Mi-35 attack helicopters to Pakistan in 2014 and purportedly started delivery of the choppers in 2018, although New Delhi publicly conveyed its concerns over the deal. Russia, in November 2015, also inked a defense cooperation agreement with Pakistan, and the two nations had their first military drill in September-October 2016, just weeks after India signed the Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement with the US, creating a framework to support each other's aircraft, ships, and personnel with logistics logistics, fuel, and spares. India turned into a major defense partner of the US and kept on signing one defense agreement after another: Communications Compatibility and Security Agreement, that is KSG, in 2018, Industrial Security Annex to General Security of Military Information Agreement in 2019, and the Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement in 2020. Russia too continued to expand its defense cooperation with Pakistan with regular bilateral military drills, with the last one being held in November 2020. During a visit to Islamabad on the 7th of April this year, Putin's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov announced Russia's plan to provide Pakistan with more special military equipment and to conduct more military exercises with Pakistan, both in the mountains as well as in the Arabian Sea. The summit and the 2+2 dialogue on 6th of December saw Russia conveying to India its serious concern over the US role in Asia Pacific in the name of so-called Indo-Pacific strategies and through creation of closed bloc type structures. It had earlier called the Quad a divisive and exclusivist tool being used by the US to implement its devious policy of engaging India against China, as well as to undermine Russia's close partnership with India. Though India argues that its own vision for the Indo-Pacific is inclusive and not against China or any other nation, it obviously could not yet convince Russia. New Delhi of late also supported Russia's entry into the Indian Ocean Rim Association as a dialogue partner. India obviously wants Russia to play a bigger role in the region, as it is consistent with its inclusive Indo-Pacific vision and helps dispel the narrative that it is ganging up with the US to help counter hegemonic aspirations of China. So that's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. To join KSG India courses and to crack the ICE exam, visit ksgindia.com. You can also get a PDF of this podcast on ksgindia.com. Thanks for listening.